Donald Trump stresses the fact that the American farmers cannot be left without anybody. They cannot be left without anybody. And then he further goes on by saying that the undocumented migrant workers that he once was calling illegal criminals are very, very special people.
So that was a breakdown from a Mercurial Lover, reacting to comments made by Donald Trump. In the clip, Trump says America's farmers depend heavily on migrant labor, and without it, the agricultural industry suffers. Then he makes a sharp distinction, saying people from the inner city won't do that kind of work, which many interpret as a coded reference to black Americans.
Back to their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, these people, you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it? These are very, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so now that you have actually heard the clip, that you've heard the recording for yourself, let's actually break down exactly what Donald Trump has said so far. He started off that clip or that recording stating, how, they have policies and plan of trying to help the farmers, right? Because they desperately need these migrant workers. They need these undocumented migrant workers. They can't leave them without anybody. That right there is admission that the United States agriculture economy is taking a hit behind his policies and his mass deportations. That's the first thing. Donald Trump stresses the fact that the American farmers cannot be left without anybody. They cannot be left without anybody. And then he further goes on by saying that the undocumented migrant workers that he once was calling illegal criminals are very, very special people. They're very, very special people that cannot be easily replaced. Right after Donald Trump makes that statement and say that they cannot be replaced easily, he goes right into stating that inner city people are not doing that work. Words have meanings, okay? When it comes to this government and this American society, when they say inner people, they're referring to black people. And when he said that kind of work, he's talking about field work.
Mercurial Lover's argument is that deportation policies were never just about immigration, but also about labor, specifically pushing black Americans back into field and service jobs, while limiting their opportunities in medicine, tech, and professional spaces, especially with the rollback of DI initiatives.
In addition to him stating that inner city people will not be doing that kind of work, he goes on by saying that I've tried, we've tried. Everybody's tried. Do you know who everybody is? The American government, white supremacy. And do you want to know what their version of trying was? DEI eliminations. DEI eliminations. And not just that, but the undoing of so many policies and acts that actually allowed for black people to have equal footing amongst white people in certain areas, in certain spaces. The elimination of DEI programs and incentives were intended to push black people out of the spaces that white people deemed should only be for them. And I'm talking about admin jobs. I'm talking about jobs in medicine, in accounting. They wanted black people to go back to back-breaking work, okay? Being in the fields, hospitality work. That's what they wanted. As of right now, 300,000 women have been displaced from employment, okay? They have lost their jobs. And they thought, and when I say they, this white supremacy American government thought that those 300,000 black women were going to go back into the field. Instead, they got creative. And so with all of these mass deportations, they thought that they were going to be able to fill the roles with their original laborers, okay? Their labor workers, black people. Now, see, if there's only two things that you take from this video, the first thing that I want you to take away is the fact that America's success is directly dependent on its labor, free labor, and amounts of free labor that they're able to exploit from the citizens, okay? And the second thing is that Black Americans will always be their first target.
Now, whether you fully agree with that interpretation or not, it does raise important questions. Is America's economy too dependent on exploited labor? Do immigration and race intersect more deeply in policy than most people realize? And was deportation ever truly about border control, or does it tie into a bigger historical pattern around race and labor? I want to know what you think. Do you agree with Mercurial Lover's take? Or do you see Trump's comments differently? Let's talk about it in the comments.